Car-Boyz. Yes, we are. There's one of us. There's two of us. Live from London on Guy Fawkes Night. And a happy Guy Fawkes Night to you, Simon.
Happy Guido Fawkes.
Happy Guido. Was that his real name? Not Guy, Guido. He was far
I think
more,
it was Guido, yeah.
He was far more middle class than...
He was a bit posher.
Yeah, than I thought he would be.
Guy.
Than Guy. Sounds very American. Of course, Americans watching this will have no idea what Guy Fawkes Night is. It's
exactly.
It's when we celebrate torturing a man to death who tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament.
Yeah, who tried to... Yeah.
Down in Lewis, on the south coast, they still burn an effigy of the Pope on Guy Fawkes Night.
Yes. Yeah.
Lovely. Well done, boys. Yes, which is most bizarre.
Yeah.
But that's what they like to do down on the south coast. Apologies, we've been off for a week or so. And before you ask, it was nothing to do with COP26 in Glasgow. No, I think that's not really the place for the people who love all things motoring. More of that later in the show. No, last week one of us was celebrating a birthday, and before you ask, yes, it's true, I'm 21 again. Hard to believe. Coming up this week for the 29th time. Coming up this week, we've got a corker of a little car in a classic car selection. Staying with the theme of affordable cars we've been doing over the whole of autumn. It's a hot little number with a folding roof from the people who brought you the Chevette.
Nice.
Hard to believe, but it is a true sports car that can be yours for round about £3,000, which is an absolute bargain. We're also going to have all of your questions answered in the mailbag, which is large and bulging as usual, and we have the latest motoring current affair stories in the news. And I'm joined by the man who thinks Greta Thunberg is the least likeliest Swede to be voted Rear of the Year. Here's Simon.
And I should know about that, shouldn't I?
We've got a new sponsor as well. We've got Greta Thunberg Water. There she is. Greta Thunberg Water. And
what does it taste like?
Hypocrisy. And it also makes you go, blah, blah, blah. I should be in school.
Yeah, think of all those qualifications you could have got in that time. Yes, of course, Greta Thunberg.
Maybe one in environment or science or something like that. Something useful.
She is to what petrolheads what Adolf Hitler was to racial integration, I think. Yeah. And as you said, she was blah, 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 and how dare you?
How dare you?
Do that,
No, her balls are dropping. She's getting older.
Oh, I got a picture. No, I don't know what I shouldn't even say. I was going to say I've got pictures to show you, but
of Greta.
That sounds wrong.
She got an OnlyFans website now. Oh. We've had 5 hits.
Let's move on. This is a great show on the way this week. We have to actually not somewhere amazing, just somewhere regular, because obviously the last time we were on, we said we would like regular roads on the highways. Yeah. So this week it's regular roads on our Lost Highway section of the show. We're taking you up north in England as well for that one. We also have an amazing quiz for you this week on the show. It's called El Presidente.
Ah, nice.
It's COP26 themed on that one. And we'll be asking the age-old question of why do politicians who spout their support for the environment travel in private jets? Of course, it's because they are two-faced liars.
They are. It's true.
I saw Air Force One coming today. Actually, I saw a few of the Air Force planes is coming in up to Glasgow.
Okay, burning the hundreds of thousands of gallons of aviation fuel to get there, and staying a million miles away from the actual conference. More about that later in the show.
So stay tuned for all of that and more. And I'm Simon Sujuan, and they call it puppy love. Oh, I guess they'll never know how a young heart really feels and why I love her so.
Lovely. Simon Sujuan there.
Copyright.
No, it's fine. Mormons don't sue, I'm sure. Simon Sujuan there. And of course, remember, as the Koreans say, puppy love, a dog isn't just for Christmas. If you prepare the meat right, it'll stretch all the way to Boxing Day. And I'm Richard Green, and I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. There they all standing in a row, big ones, small ones, some as big as your head. Give them a twist, give them a flick. That's what the showman said. Well, words I live by there, but then I'm a man always making a boob of myself. This is Car-Boyz. Car-Boyz. Yeah, the Mormons won't sue because you sang a bit of Donny Osmond.
Oh, that's okay. That's fine.
They're not they're not a litigious folk. I'm sure they're a country now. They'll be all on the internet trying to sue us. Yes, it's time now for Richard's rant. It's when I take a sideways view of the world from my own weird, and I would argue warped perspective. Unlike other sections of the podcast, I shall rule as totalitarian dictator and grand poobah. This week I've been thinking about nature and the environment and all things green, including Graham Greene, Huey Green, and of course David Prowess, the Green Cross Code Man. Don't say we don't keep up with Generation Z cultural influences. Yeah, if you're over 40, under 40, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But that's not what you called. No. This week, to coincide with COP26, Glasgow, which is nothing. It does sound like a movie from the 80s. And coming this week on Friday night, it's COP26 starring COP26. Sylvester Stallone as a green environmentalist who's out for justice. Well, I've been thinking about all that's green and how it pertains to the subject of motoring and cars. Now, I know that most cars today, I should say, they are fueled with evil fossil fuels. We all know they're petrol and diesel and coal. Well, coal if you're Thomas the Tank Engine in regard to that. But what I've noticed is what a load of hypocrites the presidents, the prime ministers, and the dictators or grand poobahs from all over the world who are attending COP26 have been. This was highlighted first by the fact that most politicians and their vast entourages have been staying in the leafy Scottish capital, which is Edinburgh, and not the slightly down at heel industrial city of Glasgow, where the event is actually taking place. Edinburgh's 45 miles away from Glasgow. So that's 90 miles a day by car for every single politician and their aides, which in the case of sleepy US President Joe Biden has consisted of more than 20 cars. Times that by 90 miles a day, and you've got an awful lot of greenhouse gases. I don't think any of the politicians attending the event are likely to be jumping on the National Express bus from Edinburgh to Queen Street in Glasgow. Which brings me to the biggest joke of the event, that of US President Joe Biden. All right, I shouldn't be too harsh on him. He is a veteran of the War of Independence. He falls asleep a lot and he has some form of dementia. But I suppose at least he's slightly less orange than the last one who reminded me of a game show host and couldn't pronounce China correctly. It isn't China. Well, dear old great Uncle Joe has got himself in a whole heap of trouble. He's been traveling back and forth to the event, COP26. Yes, you guessed it, from 45 miles away, where he's staying at the luxurious Dalamahoy Hotel and Country Club, based at a spectacular 18th century mansion alongside two golf courses, which was a shame because Donald Trump would have loved that, which is located, yes, you guessed it, nowhere near Glasgow, but right next to Edinburgh. It's not just the huge distance he has to cover every day, it's the mode of transport that Sleepy Joe has decided to take. And I guess, though, he can catch up with a few Zeds during his journey. As well as a strong convoy of 20 vehicles, he's supported by a police helicopter for him to complete his commute. The Prez himself travels in a truly amazing car. It's a bespoke Cadillac called The Beast, which now we're coming together with our movie idea of COP26 and The Beast. The Beast is a £20,000 armoured limousine. It generates an estimated 8.75 pounds of carbon per mile driven, 10 times more than your average car. There are two beasts, not just one. There's the official vehicle and a decoy to form part of his 20-car entourage. The beast was spotted filling up with diesel near Edinburgh at about £1.50 a litre, which to most Americans is an unheard price for gasoline. Every day, the two beasts alone belch out 1,575 pounds of CO2 going between Glasgow and Edinburgh. The conference is set to last until the 12th of November, bringing a total possibility total for both cars of just under £20,000. I think he has left though the country now. Calculations suggest he would generate an estimated £2.2 million of CO2 over the whole trip, the bulk of which will come from the airborne entourage of at least 4 planes. He has a Boeing 747, which he travels on. That's Air Force One. Then the president, you'll know all about this, Simon, being a plane geek. Yep. When the president's on board, an identical decoy of Air Force One, 2 huge C-17 Globemaster planes to carry his battalion of cars and helicopters. Those jets each belt out 54 pounds of carbon per mile. The average American would generate 0.3 pounds of carbon if they flew a similar distance of just under 10,000 miles on a regular scheduled flight. Now, I should give him a break, as he is the leader of the most powerful nation in the world. But with COVID and the fact we've been holding lots of conferences via Zoom, wouldn't it just be easier and, let's say, more politically sensible to reduce the amount of fossil fuels you burn if you're not going to a climate change conference? And of course, I'm not a child. I do know these politicians go to these things to be seen to be doing the right thing. I'm not even sure that the conference has much point about it. If you consider 2 of the world's biggest polluters, China and Russia, aren't going. So I can be recycling jam jars from now until, oh yes, the end of time. And it won't make much difference if the Chinese are launching a new coal-fired power station every other day. So the old man of America has rightly messed up here, but we must give him a break. He didn't know this was going to happen when he sailed to America on the Mayflower 400 years ago. I haven't any thoughts.
You're giving such a hard time.
I did. There's a great guy on, I think it's TikTok, that does Uncle Joe, and I don't do it any justice, but he does him as a confused old man talking about Compop and his friends.
We're on TikTok, but we'll do that later. But they flew from, I was watching, they flew from Rome because I had a meeting with the Pope, and then they came over to Glasgow.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So it is, I guess. Well, see, usually I'd be an advocate of the planes, but they're also just as polluting. So
yes.
Yeah.
It's if you're going to do it, listen, I've done one big conference.
Everybody just stay home.
Well, I did a conference years ago, and I was based in Bangkok, and they said,
was it a dial-up modem?
It was, yes, it was. It was that old. And they said, do you want to come to the conference is happening on this side of the city, but it's going to take about 2 hours to get there because Bangkok's so traffic. And I said, oh, can I get a hotel room? They were like, yeah, fine. So I had a hotel next door to the conference. I walked out of the conference and I walked around the corner. I went and stayed in the hotel for about 4 or 5 days, which was great.
There's some really nice travel lodges in Glasgow.
I'm sure there's some bloody nice hotels out in the countryside by Glasgow. It's just, if they're all going, they want to go to Edinburgh, want to look at the shops, go to the castle. That's what they want to do. I mean, Edinburgh is a very pretty city, but that's really what
as opposed to the industrial estate,
which is Glasgow. What are you looking at? At least Greta Thunberg got to try the deep fried Mars bar, which I've never had one of those.
That's what my picture is of
deep fried Mars bar.
No, I'll show you after. I won't show you on it.
No, don't upset the viewer. Should we have some news?
Yes, let's have some news. First off, in George Lucas' grasp extends to highways in the East Midlands news. Drivers have been left stunned by a new roundabout built in their town after noticing it bears an uncanny resemblance to the Death Star from the movie Star Wars. Locals in Colville, apparently that is a real place, in Leicestershire, spotted the unusual traffic island being installed. But the force was strong with some of the residents who noticed. From the ground, the unassuming roundabout on Grange Road just appears to feature ornamental walls and a single solitary tree. But local residents noticed that from an elevated position, because of course they're all in an elevated position. It looks like just an evil galactic empire space station and super weapon. Drivers have now joked of their fears that the Colville Death Star had descended on their town from a galaxy far, far away. Other locals took to social media to react to their new roundabout, which one person quipped, be a shame for X-Wings to blow up Colville. Yes. The Death Star was made famous in the Star Wars films, first appearing in episode 6, A New Hope, in 1977. But when we were kids, that wasn't called episodes. It was called episode 6, but it wasn't called A New Hope, was it?
No.
I don't remember it.
Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. The Roundabouts Lightnings has
strong on this side.
famed space station is not a coincidence, though. It's a deliberate homage to the town's links with Star Wars. Really? The era once made toys, for the sci-fi film. How tenuous can it get for the sci-fi film franchise? And the Palatoy factory, really?
Yes.
Until it closed in 1994. I remember the Palatoy brand.
Palatoy Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think that if you've got some Palatoy Star Wars figures, they're worth an absolute fortune. The original, yes. In the words of Obi-Wan Kenobi, these are not the East Midlands towns you're looking for, Simon. It is very cool, but the sad thing is they no longer make Star Wars figures there. They're made by children in China. So it's a little bit sad, and I assume Colville's called Colville because they used to dig coal out the ground. It does look quite cool. I quite like that. When I first saw this story, I just saw the picture and I thought, oh, it's another bloody stupid European roundabout that we're not going to understand. And then I saw the Death Star, and you know what? I'm not really a Star Wars fan, but that's quite cool. That's quite nice. Bit different.
Yeah. It's different.
Something a bit different. Staying with Star Wars, it looks like the Stormtrooper speeder bikes, if you do remember those. I'm watching The Mandalorian at the moment, so I'm seeing all this old stuff from when I was a kid. These Stormtrooper speeder bikes are set to become a reality. Check this bad boy out. A flying motorbike that can cruise at speeds of up to 60 miles an hour for 40 minutes is due to go on sale for just under £500,000. The Turismo, or Ex-Turismo, I should say, the brainchild of, or should that be Ze Turismo? The Turismo. Don't know. It's the brainchild of Tokyo-based drone startup. Well, I hope it does startup. Should that be drone-based startup? Ali Technologies or ALI Technologies.
ALI.
It was unveiled during a test flight on an empty racetrack in the foothills of Mount Fuji. The film is planning. The film is planning to produce a limited run of 200 of the single-rider hoverbikes, each which weigh in at 300 kilograms. But he looks a bit like Darth Vader, doesn't he?
This is not a TIE fighter.
Alongside being used as part of leisure activities, the bike has potential to help at air-ski rescue, help rescue people at accidents at sea. Well, as long as they're not more than 20 minutes out to sea. He's 23 minutes out to sea, bugger him. Alongside it being used as part, the demonstration flight, which was witnessed by a crowd of guests and members of the press, saw the Ze Turismo rise up several feet above the ground and glide around above a racetrack for about a minute and a half. Powered by an internal combustion engine, yes, it's petrol. The Turismo is kept aloft by two primary propellers, which are situated where the wheels would be on a conventional motorcycle. 4 auxiliary propellers placed at the corners of the vehicle, meanwhile, provides stabilization. One drawback of the design may turn out to be the reported deafening roar of the engine and the 6 rotor blades. You might not have silencers on that engine. With onlookers having been issued with earplugs, this is going to go well to protect their hearing prior to flight. When resting on the ground, the hoverbike rests on 2 landing skids similar to those seen on a conventional helicopter. Basically, it's a big drone.
It's a cross between a drone and is that the Knight Rider car as well? Has it got a red stripe on the side?
Michael, you are going far too fast. You have 23 minutes left before we crash. I don't know why it's only got 40 minutes. Is that? I guess that's a fuel tank issue.
Probably, yeah, because I would have thought if you make it heavier and carry more fuel, you're creating more weight, so you're carrying fuel to carry weight.
So you've got really. How long does an air-sea rescue take? Because it
depends how far stranded out to sea you are.
Well, say you're on a lilo, you fell asleep at sea. There's a scenario. You drift, you're off under the sun, sort of bugger. I'm like a mile out, but this bike might be somewhere else, so it might have to get to you, land. Somebody comes along in their Land Rover. You're right, all right in your Lilo. There's sharks. I'm surrounded. in a minute, and then you get there, and I think you'll be knocked off your lilo by the thrust,
Downdraft.
the downdraft of this. Plus, is this going to be strong enough to take up somebody extra? Because when they do the helicopter, the air sea rescue, they drop a line, don't they? Maybe it's only good if we could tow your lilo in. They could just throw down a rope and tow the lilo in.
And if it can, it then can be used for those holiday things with the people that are on the end with the parachute thing. And
to be brutal, that's what's going to happen with this. It's going to be a holiday thing, isn't it? It's going to be painted yellow. It's going to be drunk on a beach in Cancun. Way!
Oh dear. Meanwhile, classic British roadster unearthed with almost 0 miles, that's 0 miles on the clock news, a time capsule, a 1981 MGB roadster that has been driven a mere 77 miles in 4 decades, has been sold at a live auction for an amazing £33,000. There you go. Is that orange or brown?
It's brown. We're coming to the orange in a bit. Stand by. The orange is on its way.
Yes, I know where it's coming up. Just 480 were produced of this limited edition version as a celebration of the British Marks Pass. It was the last example of the famed MGB, which had a successful 18-year-long production run with 500,000 of the drop-top motors built in that time, and of course it's got the rubber bumpers. Car and Classic, the online motor auction specialist, selling the vehicle to the highest bidder, so it's only been driven for more than a few hours since it was bought in 40 years ago, and it's been stored in a heated and dehumidified garage for 40 years. Well done. The MG was originally ordered as one of a pair for business for a tyre business, which is called the Beacon Tyre Group in Hereford, and was delivered in 1981, likely a year or two after it came off the production line. Every subsequent owner, though they may fail to say how many, has meticulously stored it in and barely driven the MGB on the road, with the car averaging just 3.85 miles for every year since it left the factory. The bronze metallic roadster is the LE version, produced from 1979 to celebrate 50 years of MG at Abingdon before the plant closed in 1980 and the end of the British car industry. It came with very limited paperwork, so yeah, I think it might be clocked. Though it is, in this instance, it is not due to carelessness, but because of extremely low number of miles the car has been driven. I suppose so. Very few invoices, no stamps. So that means it doesn't have an MOT then?
No, because it's never been driven. It's never had a service, because I assume they've drained the petrol and the oil out of it.
Yeah, it probably needs tyres.
It will definitely need the tyre. The rubber will be gone. Half the hoses under the bonnet will have gone.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, there's no stamps on the original service book. Explain the road is not needing service yet, and just needs the occasional fluid change carried out by its keepers. It is not known yet who bought the car for £33,000. In this is in line with the price you'd pay for a new sports car today.
It is.
So there you go. So it is bronze. The car is bronze.
That's the colour of your poo if you spent all night eating cheesy puffs and drinking iron brew. It would come out that colour, wouldn't it? Now,
which of course we've been doing in Glasgow. For
the, iron brew, cheesy puffs, and deep fried Mars bars. Don't be a puff. Drink this. That's the colour of the interior.
Shocking orange.
It's the 1970s. Now, firstly,
yes,
I'm going to come back to this. Firstly, these cars are bloody slow. This has a top speed of 105 miles an hour, 0 to 60 in 14 seconds, which I think is slower than my own old 1 litre Citroen AX. Other thing to watch out for is this was a little bit of a pup. Now, can you see the space between the wheel and the wheel arches?
Yes. Yeah.
That is artificial, because in the last years of the MG, they were trying to flog it to America, and everything was all the lights were too low for the American rules. So rather
and also the rubber bumpers on it.
The rubber bumpers. You always see these awful rubber bumpers on the front of the back. That was American law. So they got rid of the beautiful old chrome ones. And the wheel arch, because the lights were too low for the American law, all they did was put some blocks under the chassis, between the chassis and the bodywork, and jack it up. So it's a typical British Leyland bodge job. So that's the downside. The plus side of it is proper motoring. It's got a proper engine. This is not going to be driven much, but if you're in the south of France and in the summer, that's going to be a lovely car to go on a Sunday afternoon drive. The seats. Let's have another look at these again. Oh my god! Put your sunglasses on, Simon.
Crushed velour?
No, they're not. They're cloth seats that go over. That's like a cover. From my grandfather had these, but he had taste in his MGB GT with a 3-litre engine, which did a lot faster than 104. And he had the grey with a tiny orange pinstripe in it, which was. But I remember as a kid, these things, and so this is 5 or 6 years, mid-80s. He still had his car from the mid-70s, and I was like, these seats are like. He says, yeah, they're wearing through, and I think he had to go and get car covers because it's literally cloth. What you think of as cloth now is like proper fabric,
hard wearing.
No, this is like a cloth that you make a shirt out of. So an absolute beautiful bright orange, but it's a thing of beauty. £33,000 is not a king's ransom.
Why not?
Why not? Finally, I found, before I move on, I forgot to show you the picture of the beast. Joe Biden's. Look at this monster. That's his huge. What did we say? Was it like 3? I think it's 8 mpg. This car.
Yes. I have another picture of it, but I'll show you that later in the quiz.
Okay, cool. Finally, in greener petrol, talking of all things environmental, and greener petrol means rising prices news. A switch to greener petrol is fueling soaring prices at the pumps, which could overtake an all-time record within days, the RAC warned earlier this week. It came as the average cost hit 141.76 pence. That's up from 141.35 pence and previous day, just shy of the high set in 2012, which was 142.43. I don't remember that being that. What happened in 2012? I can't remember that.
Olympics. They're profiting from the Olympics.
It coincides with the UK Chancellor Rishi Sunak's decision to freeze fuel duty. Thank goodness, at 57.95 per litre. I'm going to break into this news story. I used to live in Malaysia, and petrol was, I think, about 17p a litre. This was over. Right. This was the last time I was in Malaysia. I think I paid 20p a litre, and I remember filling up my tiny little 600cc car for about 12 quid. And the other day, I filled up my Honda Accord, and it was nearly 100. I was like, oh my God. Obviously, I know the Malaysians through Petronas do produce their own petrol, but there you go. The RAC said filling up would be cheaper if E5 had not been replaced by the greener E10 as the standard fuel last month, and it stressed that greedy retailers are fleecing motorists. But the government spokesman dismissed this idea that the higher content of costly ethanol E10 has pushed up prices. The wholesale price of ethanol has surged more than 50% since the 31st, the day before E10 started being rolled out in forecourts. It should say super. It should say super.
Smash
it should say diesel. Great. And here it should just say weasel piss. Which one's the weasel piss? That one. Yeah, weasel piss. The wholesale price of ethanol has surged more than 50%. Yeah, we've said that. The RAC stressed that the biggest factors in the surging pump prices were soaring costs of oil at greedy retailers. Separate analysis by the AE show profit margins upon forecourts are now on averaging about 12p per litre from 10p per litre in the summer. The RAC fuel spokesman, Simon Williams, said the average price of petrol sadly seems to be an unavoidable journey into a new record high. So petrol's risen in prices, but the miles per gallon we get out of E10 is lower than E5.
Lower.
In line with this, ethanol is rising in price. Really bad news for everybody that drives a car, but we knew this was coming because nobody sold petrol for 18 months. My mother filled her car up. In fact, I got her to go for a little drive. She came and joined us on holiday in Cornwall last summer. And she said, "Oh, should I catch a train?" I went, "No, drive your car. Because you need to get that on the road. All the petrol in your car is getting old. Because you've had it in there.
In the legal speed limits.
She's only got a Honda Jazz. You can't go illegal. You can't burn. It's the sport, but it's the sport for an old person. She doesn't. Strangely enough, she doesn't do donuts around the car park. Although she crashed it the other day. Seems to be a habit in my family. I've had a crash. She crashed into a lamppost that was in front of her.
Jumped out.
Yeah, it jumped out right in the middle of the road. in a car park. Managed to cause about 1,700 quid's worth of damage.
She okay?
She's fine. Yeah, because she just did this. And what it did, it twisted all the front, twisted the wing, twisted the bonnet, twisted the light, twisted the fairing underneath. So everything was out of whack. So they had to take everything off. They took it off, and the windscreen cracked. So they had to replace the windscreen as well. It was great. Good thing that did come out of it, she got to drive, I think, a Fiesta 1.6, and she says she wants one of those next time. She said the Jazz isn't fast enough for her at the grand old age of 73. Should we have some music? Because it is time for the Classic Car Selection. Band, strike up! Come on, you buggers. Here they are. Lovely. That was nice. Nice little interlude. Welcome to Smooth Radio. Sorry. Welcome to Scala Radio. I'm Simon Mayo. Is anybody listening? No, they're not. Time now on the show to take a look at a classic car that's been overlooked, a diamond in the rough that should be recognised for the true classic it is, from the long-forgotten 1970s saloon that everybody loved but got lost in the mists of time, to maybe a strange vehicle that was never a success in its day but could be your perfect ride right now. It's time for the Classic Car Selection. This week, we're continuing our autumn theme and looking at two-seater convertibles, which is strange, but there's a reason here. Now is the best time to buy a convertible car. If you're going to buy a car, any car, best time usually January, because they are, or the car dealers are on their uppers. Nobody wants to buy a car when it's snowing. I've bought a number of cars in January, always been a success, always got a deal.
People think, New Year, I'm going to get a new car, so they'll go in January, and January's a good time. But convertibles, drop tops.
Autumn.
Exactly.
So the person's had fun with the car over the summer. They've gone, well, I've got a company car. I don't really need this car. They put it on the interweb or whatever, on a card in the library, maybe. Who does that anymore? I was at the shopping centre the other day, and they had a board with little adverts on the board in the shopping centre. It was like cute. I don't know who this person is. But yeah, now's the time to buy a convertible. Now, we've reviewed the MX-5, or the Mazda Miata, as they say, the other side of the pond. Miata. We focused on the Volvo C70 with the tin top, and we've taken a glance at the Daihatsu Copan, a car so small Michael Jordan could wear one as a shoe and then charge £1 million after he's been wearing it for a few weeks. This week, it's a small two-seater from the company that gave us the Astra and the Cavalier. Yep, it's a beauty. It's the last generation of the Vauxhall Tigra. Now, based on the old Corsa, the original Tigra was a hardtop, small two-door, four-seater front-wheel drive sports car. But this one was relaunched in 2004. Vauxhall made the astute decision here with the Mark II Tigra, firstly to get rid of the four seats and make it a proper two-seater coupe. This time, though, to rival the 206, they added a folding metal roof, which is a thing to behold. It makes for a strikingly good-looking car, despite the fact it maintained the front-wheel drive. Now, it comes with a 1.3-litre, believe it or not, diesel. What that was, I don't know. A 1.8-litre petrol, or the very best selling was the 1.4-litre petrol. There are two trims, standard of the Sport, but Vauxhall was also introducing high-value special editions. Models such as the Exclusive sat at the top of the range and offered lavish equipment levels, like a stereo. Competitors naturally included the
8-track.
An 8-track. Electric windows. Competitors naturally included the Peugeot 206cc, horrible car, the Nissan Micra C+C, awful, and the Mitsubishi Colt CZC. Who cares?
Which no one bought.
No one bought that one. Now here comes the good bit, because Vauxhall, now what was the clever thing with this? And I know I'm not a big fan of Vauxhall, but what they did with this car, they employed French folding roof specialist Huliers to help build the drop top. The results work well. You've got to pull a partition across the boot before lowering the lid. The mechanism is fast, it's very robust. The boot is well sized in either configuration. There are no rear chairs, but the interior gives a roadster-like feel. The two-seater layout does allow for a large storage shelf behind the chairs, which I from memory, I think you could about get a can of baked beans and a baguette on it.
Ooh.
The driving position is cramped and the dash lifted straight from the Corsa feels dated. Metal pedals and silver detailing brighten things up. It's all very sort of early noughties. It's not an inspirational place to spend time despite the good fit and finish, but it is a very different car, and I'm going to tell you the price in a minute. Now, what to watch out for? How much should I pay? Well, you need to go for the 1.8 petrol. The 1.4 is woefully underpowered. You need to remember this is a car made to a budget, and although it looks pretty good, the finish, as I've said, and the ride are pretty basic. That being said, not expensive to own, not expensive to drive. Obviously, you want to make sure the one you buy has been regularly serviced. You want a full service history. The roof needs to function properly, and it is a good roof. But make sure this doesn't leak. You're looking for a smell of damp in the car. Put your hand in the carpets. Get well in the carpets. If they're wet, stay away from it. Also, the issue with these things was the boot used to leak as well. So check the boot. Get the carpet up. Have a look at the wheel well for the spare and make sure that isn't rusty. Price-wise, I found some of these down for as low as £1,500.
Wow.
It's amazing. This one is a post-production model. So this was released in 2009 after the production had finished. This has 64 on the clock, 2 owners from new, full service history, full leather, full electric pack. Of course, the 1.8 engine, the 1.8 litre engine, £3,000. So why not get a little pocket rocket for the weekend and buy the Vauxhall Tigra? It's a pretty little car.
Yeah, we like cars that are a little bit different. There's just something different. You rock up in one of these.
I think you could use that as a daily. You could use that as a daily car, a 12-year-old car. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I had I worked in TV station. Our floor manager had one, and she did look very cool. She used to come in, so I used to say to her, "That's a cool-looking car." Nice. I think my wife would like that, but where we'd put the children, I don't know. Into care, she'd probably like that.
Roof rack.
In the roof rack, yes, or in the boot. My children both got in the boot the other day. I emptied the car. And it was the Civic. It wasn't the big boy. It wasn't the big saloon. I emptied the shopping, and they were like milling around helping. Where have they gone? They both got in and closed it. We're in there, and they were like laughing. I could hear this. So when I need to get rid of them, it's going to be quite a simple process of merely dumping them in the back of the car and dropping them off in the woods. I believe it's time for Lost Highways. Should we give it a go? Here we go. Over to you, Simon.
I like that. It's a kind of cross between American country and western and some kind of Australian.
Yeah, it's got the Jews. Can you still say Jews harp? Is it the Jews harp? Yeah, sort of Quigley Down Under, starring Tom Selleck.
Of course, this is the Lost Highway sections of the show, which if you listened to this show, viewed this show before, you will know where viewers will email saying their favourite roads and reasons why they love them. It could be a quiet coastal road that now leads down to the sea. Alternatively, it could be straight to an blacktop that leads to infinity. I invite you to gun the pedal to the metal. Whatever your poison is, let us know your perfect driver road here on Car-Boyz. Rich, what are details that people can get in touch?
You can email Car-Boyz at car-boys@outlook.com, Facebook car-boys, holes with a hyphen, and boys holes with a Z at Car-Boyz with 4 Zs, Twitter car-boys at car_boys, Instagram, the porno one at car_boys with the 3 Zs.
No, we are now on TikTok, aren't we?
Oh, yes, we are. Did you TikTok us up?
I did, but I'm a bit worried about some of the videos that I see leading up to it. Not on our page, obviously. It's just.
Is this the one with us playing the country and western music and me singing the made up lyrics? Maybe this could be a single.
We
want to sign us.
We can do that as a single, but also we've got the driving album as well before.
Oh
Christmas,
yes, let's not
Christmas
forget,
well,
including Wishbone Ash, AC/DC.
Yes. First in the mailbag, get in touch with this week is Marky Mark from Salford, who I know very, very well, in Manchester. He says, all right, Car-Boyz. It doesn't sound like that.
Is he the original Marky Mark? Does he live in Salford?
And the Funky Bunch.
Yeah, do you think?
Yes.
I thought he would be in Los Angeles. No, I always wanted to live in Salford.
No, he doesn't, but he does live in Salford. I know him.
Oh,
very
nice.
well. He says, I watch the show all the time, which I know he does, and he
Good
loves
man.
it. On the last show, you wanted normal roads in the Lost Highways, so I've chosen a road that I know that you like, Simon. He knows that I likes it. He's been in the car with me, I think, at the time. It's the A666, and it's the beast of a road that runs for 30 miles from Greater Manchester through Pendlebury, very well, Clifton, Farnworth, Bolton, and then on to Blackburn. Due to its number, it's often known as the Devil's Highway. But it also carries 3 different names, which is the Manchester Road, the Bolton Road, and the Blackburn Road. The road itself varies from motorway standard dual carriageway to narrow urban town streets. So I've been on this. I think I've probably driven past there.
It wasn't the most exciting picture you could find.
Yes, it is. You are going through like the tail end of Salford, through Pendlebury, through Swinton. There is actually 2 things. One, on that road.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah. On that road, there is a road called Coronation Street.
Oh, is there?
There is, yes. And also, what was I going to say about it? Yeah, it is. It's an interesting road. I know there's a place called Clifton, and there's a marina in Clifton, and lots of people who ride motorbikes meet up there.
Ah. So if the bikers like it usually is a nice little windy road. Sounds very cool. Thank you very much for that, Marky Mark. Can't wait for you to relaunch the new episode of Entourage. It'll be better than his acting. His acting is really appalling. And last up on Lost Highways, we have Betty Boo 2, says, Dear Car-Boyz. I don't know whether she's doing the do, but we have nothing... Now thinking of that video. I have nothing but great roads in Germany. The great roads in Germany. Nothing but great roads. So I'd like to add the Romantikstrasse. Oh, no, hang on. Let me get it right. The Romantikstrasse, or Romantic Road, to your Lost Highways. Oh, well, I think we can add this. The picture, it does look very chocolate boxy. Germany is a land of chocolate. Look at that. Just watch Simon stare into the middle distance as Homer Simpson now for the next 10 minutes. Chocolate. It looks incredibly pretty, this photo. I wonder if you can drive your car.
It's romantic, even.
Under that. Do you think you can drive your car through there?
I think so.
It'd be very cool.
Yeah.
If you go to Warwick, you can see where you used to be able to drive your car under the cathedral. When it's at the city wall, you've got to go around the outside now, which I think... Unless you had a Austin 7 from 1932, that's the only thing would actually fit into that archway. Now, Munich lies 40 miles east of the famous road, which runs from the southern foothills of the German Alps to the hillside city of Würzburg in northern Bavaria's Franconia region. Along its 220 miles, flowers spill from the balconies of timbered homes. That's terrible. That's very unsafe. There's rolling vineyards. They bask in the sun. This is a tourist brochure. And they bask in the sun and catch fire. Lake-studded countryside sparkles against the Grand Alps, and 70 years ago, German tanks ran... No, sorry, I'm going off. Drive from Munich and start your journey at Fussen on the Germany's border with Austria. Yeah, that's
the way in, isn't it?
That is the way in. Nobody said no. And you head north. You'll pass the fairy tale castle. This is Neuschwanstein. That's the one that inspired the Walt Disney's animated Snow White. Before he liked Jewish people too. Before reaching Augsburg, one of Germany's oldest cities, with a history dating back to pre-Roman times. Take the 3 medieval wall towns of Nordlingen, Dinkelsberg, and Rottenburg ob der Taubayer before the romantic road reaches its conclusion at Würzburg. Sorry, I did sound like an extra from a lower low there. What people forget, and this is very pretty, my wife's done a lot of work in Vienna, is that's where the Roman Empire ended. So the barbarians came down from the south, they conquered Rome, and then they took it all sort of back up north. So Bavaria, Munich, Austria, the little
Leidhausen town,
Salzburg, places like that look really pretty like this. This looks so pretty. It's sort of that late late 18th century, Mitteleuropa, Holy Roman Empire. Prague's very much like this. Again, pretty
Nice.
Bohemia. Whereas also the Austro-Hungarian Empire, it's just very, very pretty. But it's not somewhere you would think of going on holiday.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
maybe we should
Take a drive there.
We should do a drive in Munich, visit some beer halls.
Oh, that's good. And then we'll stop off at the BMW factory to see what's going on down there.
Yes, to see how badly they're making them. That could be an option. Let me
Stand
flash
right
it
in
up.
Austria.
Yes. Yeah. Shame you don't make them like you used to. What, during the war? They were very reliable. Email the Car-Boyz. All that if you want to get your driving roads up. And we will try and not take the piss too much out of your country. But come on. It's the way she said... Hang on, let me read the letter again.
We have, yeah.
We have nothing but great roads in Germany. Which I would argue against, because my dad was in certainly East German roads. My dad was in the army, and certainly East German roads are appalling, or were appalling before the war. And he always said that he had a W123 saloon that used to come back to England.
Yeah.
The problem is German towns have great roads, but he said the auto outside the towns, if you're not on an autobahn, they can be appalling. It's almost like, well, we don't, look after them. It may have changed. This was a long time ago. There we go. And now it is time for the mailbag. And this week, because I had a guitar as a present for my birthday, I'm going to play the theme tune live. Put this on TikTok. Letterbollocks. How was that?
Letterbollocks. Nice.
Good.
Otherwise known as the mailbag on this show. There you go. Live. It can be done live. Stephen and Stevenage. They're so great. They named the place after him. He says, "All right, Car-Boyz, I hope you're good." Yeah, we're good.
All right.
I drive a 2001 Honda Civic. It's got 120,000 miles on the clock. Hang on, this is not your son, is he? He's not driving your car.
He was in the boot, though. I did mention that he was in the boot, though, the other day, didn't I? So maybe.
He's got 125. I was just thinking, because it's like, you got a Honda Civic.
I think he's 6, so he would have problems reaching the.
Okay. It's got 125 miles, got a regular service engine, and overall the car has no rust. Oh, there it is. He loves it. I'm not about sure. I was about to insure it this week. I had to look online how much the car is worth. I reckon about £800. I can't find any similar car of any Japanese brand, Toyota, Honda, or Mazda, for less than $1,200. What is going on? You're our Japanese car expert.
Well, now this is what's been happening on. Well, firstly, great car, well done. That engine is bulletproof. You could get another 120,000 miles out of that Honda VTEC engine. They've made nearly 3 million of them. They've never been recalled. I've owned 2 cars with them. Both cars are still going. My one's over 100. My old one, which now my dad owns, has now nearly done 160. He can't kill it. The reason you can't... So what he's done is a real sensible thing. He's gone, I think this is worth about 800 quid, but I'm just going to check online. Then he finds out online he can't get one for less than 1,200. Well, the reason is bloody COVID. So we told you this was going to happen a while ago. We've had no car production for 18 months, shortage of microprocessors in China. We've had a few weeks back secondhand cars selling more than brand new models. People are going to garages going, I want a brand new Dacia. I don't know why, they must be mad. And they're being told, yeah, you can have one in 8 months. No, I want one now. I need a car. So then they're spending more money buying one that's got 3,000 or 4,000 miles on the clock. This blip, it's a blip. But unless they get car production back on track, prices are going to keep going up. Now, I don't know if you remember, I'll go back about 15 years ago. There was because they've done this before. They got rid of old cars. Do you remember? They
Scrappage scheme.
Scrappage scheme 2010.
Scheme. Yes.
Now, I remember 2005, my grandfather was still alive, and he's chatting to his neighbour over the fence, and he's, how's your car? Oh, it's all right. Yeah, it's good. And then he said to my grandfather, I've got a 15-year-old Vauxhall Carlton. It's done about 80,000 miles in gold. So my grandfather goes, oh, gold. And he said, would you like it? And he said, What do you mean, would I like it? I just need to get rid of it. And I was like, he said, what do you mean? He said, what's wrong with it? He said, it needs an MOT, but it'll pass. And he said, well, what's wrong? Got a new car. People were paying about 400 quid to have cars towed away and scrapped.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this car, there was nothing wrong with this car. 1990 Vauxhall Carlton. In the end, I think it was my grandfather's mate ended up having it, and he gave the guy a couple of hundred quid just so. Well, I can't not give you nothing for it.
So many good cars were just scrapped that were perfectly good in that time.
Which scheme was
they're offering? I think it was like £3,000. Yeah, yeah.
Practical Classics did pages and pages on it, and there were things like beautiful 10-year-old 190 Mercedes with red leather in beautiful silver,
just scrapped. And
you're like, come on, how could that's? I mean, and if you want to go down the environmental route, that's just disgusting. Just to scrap something that's perfectly doable. There we go.
Absolutely.
Moving on. Olivia in Essex, White says, first time emailer, long time viewer, good girl.
Yeah, I like that.
I can't say that. Good lady, good person, good thing. Him,
viewer.
him, zam. She has a crack in her windscreen. She's got a lot. I've got to be careful what I say here. Olivia's got a large crack.
In her windscreen.
In her windscreen. But she is from Essex. She says.
It was done with a stiletto.
Possibly. That's how she did the windscreen. Probably because you put your feet up. I won't go into the mechanics of it. I'll just let that sink in, what Simon said. Yeah. What should she do? So she got this crack. I don't know whether it's a big crack or a little crack, but she has a crack and she's in Essex. She thinks her fully comprehensive insurance will cover it, but she's worried it will not because she thinks it was caused by a stone from a lorry a few weeks ago. Please help me. So I'm right in thinking almost all policies, especially fully comp, will cover a damaged windscreen. Yeah. So that should only cost you around £100, maybe £200 for the new windscreen. You'll be able to claim that through your insurance. It doesn't matter what happened. If you're mowing your lawn and a chip fell out of flew out the mower and cracked the windscreen.
A stiletto came flying across the road.
Maybe you were enjoying some fun with a young friend in the front seat and stiletto shot off and hit the windscreen. One thing to make sure is you get a receipt for the windscreen from the person that fits it, as I've had a new windscreen fitted and the thing started to blow after 6 months and they had to come back and fit a new one. So it started to blow with a white stiletto in a large crack. I'm just going to wait. He's nearly there. He's nearly finished. So the cost of replacing windscreen yourself is ridiculous. I think you can be well over 500 quid, maybe £1,000 for a new windscreen. So go through your insurance, but just keep an eye on the corners because often these guys that replace them, they're not interested. They're not going to come back to you again and again. People like Autoglass, other companies are out there. They'll just bang in the windscreen and bugger off. And often they don't do it properly. And so just be mindful to keep an eye on. If you start seeing mist in any of the corners, that windscreen's blown.
And also, especially if they've got some manufacturers have heated front screens.
Oh, yes.
If half the screen works, it's because the contacts aren't correctly put on the other side.
Well remembered. As well. I had that in my XR3i. My Escort had a heated front windscreen. And I only had, I think, third party on it. So I was always worried to death that if a stone hit it, that was 1,500 quid to replace that windscreen. But we won't talk about that.
There you go, Olivia. So hopefully we haven't ripped Essex to shred on that one. Moving on, Donald from La Rochelle says, "Hi, Car-Boyz. He's a Scotsman, fantastic, living in France, semi-retired. Nice. He's looking for a replacement for his aging 2002 Citroen C5 estate. He wants a smaller car, but with big boot space. He doesn't care about the badge status, which is good.
Okay.
So what does he want? He wants a smaller car, big boot.
It's a difficult one. They do
saloon or estate.
He doesn't say, but I would imagine if he's got used to an estate, he'd want an estate. But he's moving into that sort of. Is it the Skoda Yeti? Is that the one with a that sort of does it? I'd stay away from Citroen because they haven't made a reliable car for 30 years. I'd go Japan, Korean, but we did a similar person a few weeks ago. France, they love a Dacia. I found this dog. Look at this horrible monster.
Oh,
It is a 2008 Dacia Logan Estate 1.6 manual, 2 owners, 57 on the clock, €3,000. It is not a driver's car. It is cheap Renault made badly. It's going to drive better than your old Citroen. It's smaller than the Citroen C5 Estate.
Yeah.
But it has got a big boot in there, so you'll get all the wine and dogs and whatever. And one day you'll come along and it'll be completely written off, and you won't give a toss because it only costs you €3,000.
Nice.
There we go.
So that's for you. I can't remember what his name was.
Donald.
That was for you. Donald.
Scotland, the Flying Scotsman in France. La Rochelle's beautiful. I'm very lucky. I've done a place called Ile de Ré, which is an island off La Rochelle, years ago when my daughter was about 6 weeks old, and we drove down there. It's very nice. The wine is so cheap and very good. So I assume that's what he's trying to get back into the back of the car. Really, just buckets. I went to a place. I did go. I went to this amazing place. That had it wasn't a vineyard, it was like a factory for wine, and you went it sounds awful, but it was brilliant. So you drove in, parked in the car park, and then and there was this huge bar, and there was just samples of wine, and you watched a few videos. The barman went, "What would you like?" I said, "I'll try some of the red, try some of the white, and I'll try some of the
cheese
brandy." So I like all those. And then you ordered the cases at the front. Then you drove your car around the back, and there was a loading dock. You just gave the guy your receipt. 6 cases of wine and a case of brandy. The brandy was amazing, yes. And it was cheap. I'm very cheap. I want to say about £3 a bottle, but for good stuff, not rubbish. Moving across to the other side of the pond where they make good wine in America. Finally, we have Stephanie in Savannah, Georgia, the state, not the country. She loves it. She loves a big one. She loves a big saloon car, something older. Now, oh no, hang on. I've got to be something. This sounds like a Tinder profile. Swipe left or swipe right. She had a 2001 Mercury Grand Marquis, but it got written off in an accident. So she's very upset because she loved the car. She's happy to try another brand. So we're not massively knowledgeable about American cars, but what I've noticed is the saloon, the land yacht seems to be coming back. I found this monster. I've got a picture of its rear. Hang on, there we go. Look at it. It's the Cadillac DTS.
How square that is.
The DeVille touring sedan, 4.6 litre engine, jet black, full leather interior, auto box. This was a 2010 car that I found. High mileage of 87. This car is up for grabs at less than $7,000. What a beast. 15 highway though, but hey, American petrol.
Savage.
And the boot, that's not a great picture. The boot is huge. It's huge. You could get lots of bodies in there.
Yeah,
and
it looks it.
I'm always a bit like, when in France, do what the Romans do. When in Rome, do what the Romans do. And in America, why not drive a big fat saloon car? Because your petrol. I know you're bitching currently about petrol prices, but they are nothing
compared to what it is here.
No. And if you're maybe only doing, say, 30,000 miles a year, maybe less, maybe you're doing like 10, 12,000 miles a year, why not get something that's, 15 mpg highway and just enjoy it? She says she likes them big, so there you go.
4.6 litres, look at absolute cruiser.
Yeah, cruiser. And that is the engines in those. I think I've got pretty good history as well.
Yeah. So
not going to be as reliable as the Mercury Grand Marquis, but still a nice car. If you want to get your questions to the mailbag, there are the usual addresses and contact details. I'm going to see if I can get our game show music up and running. And it seems to be working. Here we go. Go on, you bugger.
Yay! Thank you.
Can I make this sound with this lamp? I really need to stop doing this.
What's that?
This isn't a bell.
No,
This
that sounds good. I like that. It's a cowbell.
It's not. More cowbell. It's a it's a lamp that I bought from a rubbish dump for £5 about 15 years ago, and I've subsequently found out that it's worth about 150 quid. It's like a architect's lamp, and I really should stop twatting it with a piece of bamboo. But hey, it's fun.
It is, of course, time for the big quiz, and as the ice caps die and the polar bears melt, I know, maybe it's the wrong way around, many a world leader flew up to Prestwick Airport, famous for the only place that on the British Isles that Elvis Presley set foot in. Prestwick Airport.
Oh, he did, didn't he, when he was coming over in the army?
Yeah.
He did do an improv concert there, did he? Do you know, I've just realised I've put Greta Thunberg's name on a plastic bottle. I'm going to burn it out. It is not recyclable.
Oh no! Much of the outcry of Swedish schoolgirls, they didn't like the fact that they were using planes and cars and things. So this week we're looking at world leaders and their state vehicles. See what we did there?
What is the competition called?
It is called El Presidente, because it's presidential vehicles. Our contestant this week is Richard from Southwest London.
Oh.
So you confident that you know your presidential vehicles?
I think I'll be good at this. I think I used
You'll get at least one. I know that.
I'm sure did have a very Kofi Annan-like Daihatsu 4-track that used in blue that used to say you need to paint the UN on top of this.
Flags.
And I have travelled in many a Land Cruiser in the developing world. So yes, I think I'm going to be good at this one.
The rules are very simple. I'll show you a presidential vehicle and I will ask you a question about it. The answer, as always, is either A or B. The prize for this week is, hopefully you can see this, it is, we're doing T-shirts, but it is a Greta Thunberg T-shirt that says...
Oh, it looks lovely. I hope the cotton is recyclable.
It's made out of polar bear hair.
Excellent.
So eyes down looking. Question number one. Russian President Vladimir Putin was not present at this week's COP26 event, but he drives around in a Russian-built Aurus Senate limousine.
Oh,
that's what it looks like. Its engine is designed by Porsche and Bosch. So designed together. How big is the engine? Is it an A 6.6 litre V12 engine, or is it B a 2.5 litre V6? 6.6.
I've got to. It's got to be the 6.6. But if you open up the bonnet, is it really a 1.2 Larder engine?
No, it is. It's a 6.6 litre V12 engine. There you go. Not
the big engine for car to take Russian president around. 1
out of 1. The Chinese Paramount leader uses a 1958 honky
very racist
L5, which was reintroduced in 2012 in favour of it because they passed a law that said they wanted locally produced cars, so they just introduced their 1958 honky L5 for its official use. It has a 6 litre V12, but how much power did it produce? Did it produce A 42 bhp or B 402? 42 or 402?
I'm gonna say, despite the fact that it looks like it's got the front from a Hillman Minx. I'm confused as to why Winnie the Pooh is wearing a Mao jacket and riding in the top. Is he singing as he's in there? Please release me, let me go. I'm going to say that's a horrible name for a car, a honky. I believe they were going to go for the name with Goddamn Cracker, but they thought that was probably a step too far. I think it's got to be the 4.2, 402. BHP.
It is 402. Well
Thank
done.
You.
Yes. 2 out of 2. Well done. Question number 3. Kim Jong-un owns a Mercedes-Benz S600. That's it there. It's an S600 Pullman Grand to give its full name.
Wow.
How long does it take to build one of these vehicles? Is it A, 6 weeks, or B, a year and a half? B, a year and a half.
So hang on. This is bespoke. Where is this coming out of?
Yes.
North Korea.
Kim Jong-un, yes.
Kim Jong-un.
Mercedes-Benz.
It's a Mercedes-Benz. And how long does it... What were the two choices again?
It either takes you 6 weeks to build or a year and a half.
I think this is going to take a year and a half.
You're right. Absolutely.
Hey!
Year and a half to build that. There you go. Huge little thing.
When I worked in Thailand, they had... The Thai government had all these very expensive BMWs that were bulletproof, and they renewed them every year. And certain high-level politicians and high-level people in government used to be able to buy these bulletproof. And a mate of mine who ran their broadcasting out there nearly bought. He said, "I'm on the list." I said, "What? It's 7 Series bulletproof." I said, "That's brilliant. We'll have to go and get some guns and see if it works." He's like, "Oh no, you destroy my paintwork." I know, but find out if it does work.
The sad news is I don't think that will fit in the garden, the driveway of the North Korean embassy that is
in Ealing. It won't. It won't, because it's effectively it's a Terry and June 1930s detached house on a North Circular with a North Korean flag on the top, because they can't. That's the closest they can afford to buy into London. They have to commute. Nobody wants to go and see the North Koreans anyway, really. So it doesn't matter really where they are. Could have been a council flat in Hounslow, to be honest. But that's hilarious.
Indeed. So far 100%, 3 out of 3. Question number 4. The UK Prime Minister, if you want to call him that, Boris Johnson, has an armoured long wheelbase Sentinel. It's called a Sentinel.
Okay.
Who's it made by? This is what it looks like. Is it A, Jaguar, or is it B, Rover?
Wonderful car. It's a Jaguar.
It is a Jaguar. It's based on the Jaguar XJ. It's
Boris Johnson, who used to be the car correspondent, I believe, for GQ at one point. Yeah, should have stayed there.
Swiftly on.
Yeah. I think he also used to be a journalist for the Wolverhampton Gazette or something like the Wolverhampton Post.
Chronicle. Yeah. Question number 5. 4 out of 4 so far. Question number 5. Scott Morrison, who wasn't the lead singer of The Doors. Scott Morrison is the Prime Minister of Australia. He has a car nicknamed...
Fire.
He has a car
only though if you don't
C1.
use fossil fuels.
It's called the C1 because the number plate on it says C1.
Okay.
What is it? Is it A BMW 7 Series limousine, or is it B, a Mercedes S-Class? Come on, easy.
Well, with the kidney beans, it's obviously a BMW.
It is, yes, it is. Absolutely right. 5 out of 5.
I mean, really, if you're in Australia, it's got to be a Holden, hasn't it? Holden or a Ford, mate. It's got to be a Holden wagon. It's got to be a Holden estate with an 8-litre engine in, and then a massive air scoop on the front, painted in jet black for when the apocalypse happens.
It would be funnier if it was a ute.
Oh yeah, even better. If it was a ute with like a barrel in the back.
You could stand in the back.
Oh mate, if you did that as Australia, they would be like, yeah, he's a good bloke. Again. Yeah, gonna get him in. Scott Morrison. I mean, I loved his work. I loved the last album. I love their last album as well. Riders on the Storm was
there you go.
Great.
5 out of 5.
But when I was last in Australia, because fuel prices have gone up, they are massive fans. I was in WA. I was near Perth. They're still driving their utes, but what they've done is banged LPG tanks into the back of them.
The back bit.
Because they've got like these 5-litre engines that do 15 highway.
Yeah. There you go. 5 out of 5. Well done. Question number 6. Jair Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro. Brazil. He drives this as his state car. Which is a Ford Fusion hybrid.
Yes.
Which otherwise known in Europe as a Ford Mondeo.
Yeah.
You've kind of already had the answer. Where is he the president for? Is it A, Nicaragua, or B, Brazil?
No, he's the stabby president of Brazil.
Yay,
who says COVID doesn't exist. Does it come with those, "It looks like a Dalek. What is wrong with the lights on the top?" Look, where you got Dalek lights?
I'm kind of thinking, is it like the Starsky and Hutch light? So every time they go somewhere, they just like put it on the top.
I've always wanted one of those. You know, when you're stuck. You drive in London. Have you always just wanted to go? Do you know what? Right now, hanging out
in my cardigan,
slide across the bonnet. Oh shit! I've just scratched that with my belt.
Absolutely right. He is the president of Brazil.
Marvelous.
6 out of 6 so far. Well done. Question number 7. President Erdogan of Turkey also drives a Mercedes. Mercedes-Benz S600. How thick are the bulletproof doors? Is it A, 5 inches, or B, 10 inches? How thick are the doors? The bulletproof doors. Are they 5 inches thick or 10 inches thick?
Well, I'm just trying to judge what 5 inches sometimes in my book looks like this. But I am measuring from the arsehole to the tip. My wife would argue, 10 inches sounds ridiculous. It would be like this on the inside. It would be like an Austin 7 or an original Mini. I can't breathe. Yes, but I won't die. 5 inches.
Yes, it of course 5 inches. It can't be 10. That'd be like huge.
Nobody has 10 inches.
4 tons. No, it's a
nobody
myth.
has.
Question number 8, 7 out of 7.
I'm just holding this going. Nobody has 10 inches apart from Michael Jordan. And his feet 10 inches.
Commissioned under President Donald J. Trump. I think that's earlier on in the show. The US president has driven around in a Cadillac limousine. What is the car's nickname? Is it A, the Wild Buffalo, or B, the Beast?
It's the Beast. The Beast. Is that him there? It does look like Beer's my car. No, it's not. It's a Secret Service. It's Clint Eastwood.
In a typical Secret Service pose.
It's that, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely right. 8 out of 8 so far.
Cool, we're doing well.
Going for the full house. Question number. Let's have a look. Question number 9. So 2 to go. Which official would have been driven around in this Audi A8? Remember, it's an Audi A8L. It's called.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the actual name is Audi A8L Security.
Okay.
Is it A, Nicola Sturgeon, or B, Chancellor Angela Merkel? A, Nicola Sturgeon.
Sturgeon's Scottish, so she'll be driven round in, I imagine, a Hillman Imp, won't she? 'Cause it's the last car they made in Scotland. No, it's going to be Angela Merkel, I think.
It is Angela Merkel. Yes, that is. And for the win,
come on,
going for the 10 out of 10 for the second time in Car-Boyz history. Which president would be driven around in this Peugeot 5008 or 5008?
Oh, there he is.
Hey, Silvio Berlusconi.
There he is.
Or is it Emmanuel Macron?
It's the man who thinks the French are the only people allowed to fish in the world. It is called Emmanuel Macron. What an awful car. What an
10 out of 10.
Awful car. I mean,
apparently they pulled this off the production line, so it was just a normal 5008. They pulled it off the production line and just beefed it up with armor plating.
Maybe a little bit of armor plating. Of course, there's a famous reason why de Gaulle was saved was because he was in a Citroen DS, and because the car could turn round so had such a small turning circle, and something to do with the way the wings were that the bullets pierced but didn't get into the cabin that saved de Gaulle's life. But it's Macron. He's the one thinking of his nana, isn't he? His wife's like 108, and he's like 42.
108 and a model or something.
No. She used to be his teacher when he was 17.
Oh,
it's creepy, man.
What?
It's really weird. Yeah. She was his teacher. So I'm guessing. So that would have been 23 years ago. She'd have been like a hot, milfy 38-year-old. I'm
feeling dirty.
Yeah. And then I said, well, you learn from them. Then you move on and marry somebody possibly your own age that's going to have a family with. But there you go. That's what Macron likes to do, and not give us fishing rights. I won 10 out of 10. I'm very happy. What's the prize again?
It's the picture of it's the t-shirt.
Greta's t-shirt. Yes, I should wear that with pride.
Greta's t-shirt.
How dare you? Oh, child! Seriously, you were just not bullied enough at school, or maybe she was bullied too much. That's an interesting one to sort of. Was she bullied too much? Was she bullied not enough? Does she need to get
white balance has gone.
Oh, on me or you?
On me. There you go. I was orange for a while. I was very Donald Trump.
You were very orange. Very orange. I mean, you might have noticed I've got a bit better. I've got a light sauce this week. So we're trying to
I look like I'm an alcoholic because I've got like red, rosy cheeks.
What do you mean, look? Yeah. And on that note, it's Friday night and we must go drinking. Thank you very much for tuning in. That's it for Car-Boyz. We'll hopefully be back next week. Same time, same place. I'm going to go and put on my Greta Thunberg t-shirt and run around Glasgow drinking pints of petrol and burning things.
Iron.
Probably some environmentalists. Take care and have a good week!